All right, chat. What is up? Good to be back for another stream. I think this is a big one. I think this is, what everybody's talking about right now as far as what deck to play for Pro Tour. We're getting to the point to where people have to at least lock in a choice to be able to get a good grasp on, the matchups, concepts, stuff like that. So we're going to find a way to mathematically, well, not find a way, we know a way to mathematically determine what the best deck is. Now, does that mean a couple disclaimers, right? Does that mean that this is absolutely the best deck? No, it is not, right? But what it does mean, I'm going to give you guys a little sneak peek at what we're going to do. Okay? So this is what we're going to do. We're going to create a matchup chart. Now, this is what we created for Pro Tour 2, right? What it is it is a chart that shows, okay, so this is how you read this chart, right? So phi on the left bar is going to right here. So we're saying that phi during Pro Tour 2 would be 15% of the meta. And phi into phi is obviously going to be a 50-50, right? And then phi into Briar would be 50-50. Phi into Viscera would be slightly unfavored, right? That's how we're going to read that. So this is what we are playing, and this is our opponent here. And we're going to graph it out. Now, what do? What we care about, we don't really care about the raw score. It's kind of like a unweighted grade at school. But the adjusted score is going to take this number that's in this one of these squares, and it's going to multiply it by the meta percentage of the corresponding hero, right? So if Briar is extremely favored into this category here, but it's only going to say 9 or 0.9 is how it's going to work out. 0.9 times 3. We're only getting like very small value from that category, even though we're so favored. And like I said, this is for Pro Tour 2. This is an example of what we're doing. This is the actual chart of what we will be doing today for the stream. Okay? So that is what we're going to do. I encourage you guys to make one for yourself if you disagree with any matchup percentages that I put in the spaces, right? This is something that you can adjust. And the mirror match does not have to be 50-50. I'm just trying to approach this like broadly. Like if you have some mirror breaker tech, then you can put 4 in that spot, right? But I'm just saying as an average, this hero into this hero kind of approach, right? And we're going to figure out what has the best matchup spread. Now, how good did we do last time? Let's check to see how valid it was. We predicted that Prism and Briar were the best decks, followed by Viscera. Okay? Prism, Viscera, Briar were the top 3 decks of Pro Tour 2. Top 8? Prism, Briar, Viscera. Our top 3 decks on our chart landed 7 of the 8 top 8 heroes, all but 1. Okay? So this stuff is really good. It works, right? As long as you remove as much bias as you can from the situation, it will allow you to utilize it as a very strong tool and extract a lot of value out of it. But like I said, just because it's a mirror match does not mean it has to be 50-50. I'm just approaching it from that way because I don't know what everybody's mirror tech is. And we're also assuming 2 equally skilled opponents. Very important, right? Very important to assume equally skilled opponents. Okay? So very important concept. So that's an overview of what we're going to do. I highly encourage, if you're watching this on the VOD, after it's been recorded and posted, I encourage you not to just skip to the end and watch it. I think you need to watch the whole thing to understand why I think each matchup is the way it is. That way, if you disagree, you can change it and get your output, right? You have that ability. You can say, oh, well, he's kind of like biased for Briar, right? So he's up on it. So like, let me take that down a little bit, and it's not as good of a deck, right? Spoiler alert, that's probably not the best deck. I don't know yet. I haven't done this. This is straight off the hip, right? We are doing this as we go. Let me catch up on chat real quick. What's up, Damien? Briar, yeah. It's funny. I just made that joke. No, probably not. I would love for it to be, man. I would be the happiest. Oh, why is it Riptide? I'll tell you why it's not. Excited for the stream. What's up, Kevin? Christopher, can we talk about how Peace of Mind isn't busted? Interesting take. Peace of Mind, I mean, it's a good card. I mean, it's not busted. The only reason it's not busted is it takes a red slot from a Guardian deck, which is at a premium. But you kind of don't care about that if you're on the fatigue plan. So there's not a real opportunity cost, and it turns a blue into a block 5, but it's an interesting take. What's up, man? Saint, awesome stream earlier. I enjoyed it. Thank you for the shout out as well. I appreciate that. All right, so while we get everybody in here, because this is something that like I'm just gonna take 5 minutes, kind of talk a little bit, and then we'll hop into the chart because I want to get as many people as in here that I can before we hop into this chart that we will accomplish, right? Or I guess this one is the actual correct one. Yeah, so this is what we will be doing today, and we'll start it in about 5 minutes or so. I'm just going to chat for just a minute, And are you and the card guys going to Richmond? We will not. Unfortunately, it's just outside that reach. I was ready to go. I basically sitting in our little team chat. It was like, who's going, right? And I just didn't want to go by myself, kind of thing. Yeah, we will not be there, but I hope everybody has a good time, and it'll be a great data point. It'll be our only like real data point, because like Azuri and Azalea kind of got the surprise factor in Chicago, so I don't think it's an adequate representation of the meta currently. But Battle Harden, assuming that many people don't hold back, could be a good data point. Lexi will surprise people. I agree 100% that Lexi will surprise people. It will not be me surprising people with Lexi, but I do agree. Let's go. Love your streams, Nathan. I sure do appreciate that, boss. I really do. If Michael Hamilton thinks Dromai is busted, that's good enough for me. I know what you're talking about. I saw the tweet. He technically didn't say it was busted. What he said was it was the equivalent to Icelander before he put Wounded Bull in the list. So, and Icelander wasn't that good before Wounded Bull, right? Like it was okay. Wasn't busted, right? So I think the point of that tweet, and I'm not putting words in his mouth, this is how I interpreted his message was, I think he is saying that it's one tweak or one kind of molding, if you will, away from being a top, like the best deck in the format, whether it be, nobody expected Wounded Bull, right? Like that was crazy, and good for him. He got paid off on it too. So, best Pro Tour deck. So Azalea, we'll see in the matchup. Yeah, so I just wanted to take 1 or 2 more minutes and just kind of say that I really appreciate everybody being here. This is, I think, my like 7th or 8th stream. It's still relatively new. We've came a long way already. Just the layout and everything looks a lot better. We got more people joining us, all that fun stuff. And I just want to say that I've been incredibly fortunate in recent moment as far as I've been asked to like be on a lot of podcasts and stuff. I think 4 or 5 of them currently. Um, Push the Point, a couple others. So just things are going really well, and I couldn't do it without you guys. I just wanted to put that out there and say that I really appreciate everybody being here. Um, yeah, being a content creator is it's easy because we love doing it, right? But at the same time, you ask yourself why a lot of the time, and it's great to get feedback. And I've gotten a lot of messages saying keep up the great work and stuff like that, and it's just really, it's really great. And like I said, I really appreciate everybody. I really appreciate everybody being here and going on this journey with me. I really, really do appreciate it. So, without further ado, um, let's go ahead and hop in to our graph here. Okay, so I'll explain it one more time for those of you who, let's see. He said that on his podcast last week. Yeah, like I said, it's been extremely fortunate, man. Extremely fortunate. Down and Dirty been putting in work for my Azalea. I agree. It's a great counter. Ever since Kale put it out on Twitter, it's been great counter for Codex of Frailty. Also, one little tidbit: if anybody's trying to fatigue a ranger, the best card you can go get is not Down and Dirty, especially against Lexi. It's a generic card, Infectious Host. You play one of those, you get it out of the graveyard, and since you get a Frailty off of the Codex, you just give the Frailty back, and it doesn't have to hit. So if you're fatiguing a ranger, you can put that in any deck, just one copy, get it in the graveyard as fast as possible, and you just give them Frailties right back to them. Just give it right back to them. There's your little bit of spice to kick off the stream, right? It wouldn't be me if I wasn't talking about how to fatigue or beat fatigue or something of that nature. So glad I finally got to watch one live. I really do appreciate you being here. It means the world. Means the world. Okay, so I'm gonna go over how to do this one more time. So right here on the left column, right along here, we have the hero that we are analyzing, that we are theoretically playing, right? And this is what we are going against. And what we will do is we will put, so let's say Oldhim into Lexi. Let's say it's 45. Let's say it's 55 in the favor of Oldhim. We would put 5.5. Okay. And these also, like, they'll change better colors once they're like more favorable. They'll turn green. And what this will do is this will say, okay, let's take 0. If Oldham's going to be 15% of the meta, we take 0.15, multiply it by 7, and apply a score to the adjusted score, right? And these values will be accumulated along a hero, and these are the numbers that we care about. The adjusted scores are the ones that we care about, right? I'm not saying that Oldhim is 70% Lexi. Don't get me wrong. I'm just using that as an example, right? So let's get started. Let's just start from the top and work our way down. And depending on how many Dromai people are in the chat, we might skip that one and make them wait. How about that? Okay, so like I said, as you can see, 5 all the way down diagonal, because those are the mirror matches, right? And so Oldhim into Icelander is our first one that we're going to talk about. I think that Oldhim into... And another thing, another caveat. Like I said previously, we assume people of equal skill, not the best Oldhim versus the worst Icelander, not the best Icelander versus the worst Oldhim. None of that. Equal skill. And if there is a deck with multiple archetypes that will be prevalent in the meta that we assume, for example, Oldhim, if Oldhim has fatigue and mid-range, we have to like apply, let's say that half the Oldhims will be fatigue, half of them will be mid-range. So if into Icelander, let's say fatigue is 55, right? It's probably closer to 50-50. Yeah, we'll say 50-50. And then let's say the mid-range Oldhim into Icelander is 40% into Icelander. It would average to 4.5, right? Because we took a 50 and a 40 and averaged them out. Okay. So that's what I think the Icelander matchup is. Slightly unfavored for Oldhim overall. Azalea, I think Oldhim is slightly favored. Even with the mid range, I think he's probably 55 with mid range and maybe 65 with fatigue because of all the prevention capabilities. So we'll go ahead and put that at 6. Okay. Now, let's work our way down. We have Dash. I think Oldhim is, no matter what version you're on, it's a bad matchup. Unfavorable, especially if the Dash goes Tree Frog. If you're Fatigue Oldhim, you basically have to get a Warhorn out in about 3 to 4 turns, or you're losing that match. Mid-range can win it. It's just tough. They can pitch stack the Endless Winter in the channels and kind of get there, but it's tough regardless. So I would say that Oldhim is probably 35 on average into Oldhim. Or Oldhim is 35 into Dash. Lexi. I'm going to say Oldhim is slightly favored. I'm going to say 5.5. I think Lexi has a better shot into Oldhim because she is less one-dimensional. She can attack on multiple angles. Now, if you're on like some Death Dealer stuff, it's just a horrible matchup. But I think the Lexis have the ability to adapt into that matchup and at least get it close. I don't think one's extremely... Let's see on the chat. Dark Horse 5, we'll see. I don't hate it. I don't hate the idea. Why not just make a separate entry in the chart? Make Oldhim fatigue. We could. It makes sense for Oldhim probably. You definitely could do that. But since we're already going, we definitely, because Oldhim's really the only hero. Like Tree Frog, there's not going to be enough for Dash to like actually. And I think Lexi, most of them will be fuseless. And Dromai, I think most of them will be control. So I think really Oldhim's the only one that really matters. But what we can do is, I'll do this for you. At the end, we will come back and redo the line and see how the score changes for mid-range to fatigue. We'll do it that way. You feel like it's Lexi favored versus Oldie? No, I'm saying that Oldhim into Lexi is a 55. So I'm saying Oldhim is favored in that matchup, is what I'm saying. That's how you read it. You say here, left column to upper is the way this reads. Okay? So Oldhim into Dromai. Now this is a big one. This is the one where everybody's been debating, and if you ask anybody that plays Dromai, they've never lost one, and you play anybody that doesn't play Dromai, they've never won one either. So we will go. I'm going to say it's 50-50 because I'll be honest. I don't know. I know that the Dromais went more controlling on average, which would theoretically make things better in that matchup. Whereas I think the more aggressive, like Moralist, is kind of unfavored into the slower Oldhims, which I think is where Oldhim kind of has to land currently. So that's, that's kind of my thought process. So we'll say it's a 50-50 matchup just to make the Dromai players content. Yeah, that's a good one. Dromai Oldhim is 60-60. Absolutely. Okay, Oldhim into Azuri. If you would have asked me right after the Chicago Brawl, I would have said that Azuri is super favored in Oldhim. The problem is, just like Man Saint mentioned in his stream, the Oldhims have adapted to where they'll run Sledge into Rangers, so you don't have to worry about the scale peeler or whatever, and you just fatigue them because you throw 6 without deleting any cards, and then Azuri deletes a card to deal 6. Both people block 6 on theirs, and you just end up fatiguing them out. Is really what ends up happening. So I would say that this is probably 60% favored into Azuri playing Oldhim. Briar. I think Briar and Dash are Oldham's 2 worst matchups. She has a natural kit. This is not me being biased. I know there's the picture in the back. She has she is one of the only decks that, other than Dash, that can play the same 60 into fatigue and not lose any percentage points if they end up being mid-range. So with that being said, I'll say that into Briar is a 40% matchup in Briar's favor. Katsu, I'd say the exact opposite. So I would say Katsu is probably a 60% in Oldham's favor. Bravo, once again, depends on who you ask, whether you got an old school player that really can't give up Bravo. If you ask Kel McCreath, Bravo's 100% into Oldhim. If you if you ask the Oldhim players, they're probably slightly favored. So for a lot of the reasons in the Dromai, I'm going to put 50. I'm just going to put just a clean 50-50 into Dromai. Let's get caught up on this chat real quick. Yeah, Fatigue Oldham's worst matchup is definitely the clock. There are things that let's see. Ghostly Touch up this month on Tower Shar. Oldhim versus Dromai exactly at 50. Yeah, but it's Tower Shar data, so you got to take that with a grain of salt. I think it's much harder to play that matchup on the Dromai side than the Oldhim side. So just be wary of that. 70% Crown Rampart, yeah, for Katsu. Yeah, we could say that. We could say that. I found a way to beat Fatigue Oldhim, but I will agree that mid range is rough. Here's one that's gonna surprise a lot of people with Kano. I think this is a dog shit matchup for Oldhim. I think Kano is easily a 70-30 in Kano's favor. I really do believe that. It doesn't matter whether they go mid range. If they go fatigue, if the Kano knows what to do, how to do it, they've practiced it, I think they're good. They're definitely good against fatigue. But mid-range, it can be kind of iffy, but I think Kano is actually in a very good spot for that matchup. Yeah, I would say the reason I'm putting 30-70 is against fatigue. I think Kano's 100. But if the Oldham's mid-range, I think it's probably closer to like 60-40 still in Kano's favor. So we'll average it out. Let's go ahead and say 2.5. We'll say it's that bad. Okay. So we'll say 25%, averaging those two. So Phi, I think it's Oldhim favored slightly. Still, no change really. Belittle went away, and less. Yeah, Phi does nuke the fatigue Oldhim. It's the mid range one. You sit back. They have less consistency with the belittle, so I would say this is slightly favored in Oldhim. And then the other category, I didn't go over this earlier. The other category is just basically stuff that will be less than 1% of the meta, which I predict will be Riptide, Viscera, Levia, Rhinar, Bolton, Dorinthia, and Arachne. Now this could be obviously wrong. It definitely could be, but that's where I think things will be. Anybody that brings one of these heroes, it's not because it's easily noticeable it's the best hero, it's because they broke something. And typically when somebody breaks something, not too many other people know about it. So yeah. We'll say that Oldhim probably beats up on just about every one of these, like pretty well. So we'll say that he's at least 80 into it. All right. So Oldhim has an adjusted. This is the number we care about. The 5.11 is the number that remember when Azalea was in others? Absolutely. Absolutely. What a day. What a day. Okay. I believe that there'll be 5% Icelander. I think there'll be a couple people that like try some fancy stuff with Eisenhower, Weathervane, more disruption. Not sure if it's going to be enough to beat the Rangers, but we'll see. Obviously, because we cross the chart, we have to do the opposite. So we have to say that this is a 55% favor into Icelander into Oldhim, because we're see how these have to equal 10 basically, or somebody's drawing, I guess. Icelander into Azalea, I think it's unfavored. I'd probably put it at a 4. Currently, Lexi, she has more game because she can, the blizzards are more effective and stuff like that. Doesn't Reinar have a good match pairing into Oldhim? I disagree. I disagree with that. I think that with the inclusion of Earth cards, I think Oldhim just fatigues, right? Like there's just not enough. You could set up big turns, but the problem with Reinar is like when you're setting up those big turns, if you don't have enough armor to shelter from like a big spinal or anything, and like just having to block with one card is huge. So assuming the Oldhim player plays it properly, I think they can shut it down pretty easily. Yeah, so Dash I think is also slightly unfavored, not by a whole lot, but natural AB3 being in Dash's kit with a high blue count. Basically, I would probably put this at the same as Azalea. Lexi, that's a good point. Yeah, I do somewhat agree with that, Austin, but it's just the go again. You have more play, more punishment but you have the higher blue count to counter the same disruption. So maybe it's similar. Maybe it is slightly worse. So we'll keep it the same. We'll say 4. It's not looking good right now for Icelander. I'm gonna say 4.5 into Dromai. Not as unfavored as people make it out to be, but definitely still unfavored. Azuri, I think she's favored. Probably put it as 6. Just Azuri is very like Icelander wants to block with 2 cards every turn, and that kind of goes against what Azuri's trying to do. Briar, she's favored against. Not extremely, but definitely a little bit. Katsu is actually interesting. If the Katsu plays it correctly and a lot of blues, I'm reluctant to put 60. It could be closer to 55, but we'll put 60. Bravo, I would say slightly favored. Probably another 6 as well. I know this is looking clean right here. Kano, extremely favored into Kano. Probably 7.5 into. Probably 7.5 into Kano. Extremely favored into Icelander into Kano. 5 with the removal of Belittle, I would say favored. And then are there any of these that beat up on Icelander? Negative. So we're going to put an 8 again. Okay, so where it currently stands, the way this is read is Icelander is a slightly worse pick than Oldhim, based off of matchup spread. And once again, for those of you that have just joined, what the way that this Excel sheet is working is it's taking Oldhim into Icelander is a 45. Multiplied by 0.5, because there'll be 5% Icelander, gives you a value. And that value let me get caught up on chat real quick. We got people protesting. Let's see. Wait, really? How do you win that matchup as Briar? I'm assuming you're talking about Icelander into Briar. It's definitely unfavored, but in rated events, including the Battle Hardened and the Calling, I think my record currently stands at let's see, I played 4. No, five, and then 1. So 4 and 2 is currently my record. Briar into Icelander in the past 2 rated events. Not saying that that's it's obviously not favored for Briar, but I definitely think it's winnable. Icelander should do the same with Lexi as does Azalea. Makes sense. It's a losing matchup. Yep. 50-50. Kano can't lose that matchup, by the way. You're saying Kano can't lose against Icelander? I'm just going off of the fact that Hayden Dale said Hayden Dale is the wizard player, and he said that he would not play Icelander, or he would not play Kano if Icelander was very prevalent. So I'm just going off of that. 50-50 into Icelander on 5. Pre-little ban. I don't know about 50-50, bro. If you stop streaming games with Briar, my partner can stop getting better. There you go. There you go. All right, so let's do Azalea. This is probably what everybody's waiting on. This is a big one. So obviously we've already done the Oldhim into Azalea. We're saying that it's a 40 for Azalea. And Icelander, we said it was a 60. And then Azalea into Dash, I think it's extremely favored. Probably 65. I wouldn't say extremely, but like it's in a good spot. Lexi's very interesting. I'm gonna say just because of Red in the Ledger, I think she's slightly favored, but there are spots where Lexi can just get away with the game, like just run away with it, right? So I am cognizant of that, but I do think that because of Red in the Ledger and the dominate and the on-hit effects, I think Azalea is a favorite into Lexi, but not by a whole lot. I would say like 55-60. So let's do Ice Lexi beats Azalea. That's a good point. Because we don't know if the Lexi's fuseless, let's just put her a very, very slight favor. Because I think Azalea whips up on fuseless, but you're right, loses to yeah, you guys are talking me into it. All right, we'll put it 50-50. You guys are spitting some good facts. Absolutely. Azalea, this is Dromai favorite. There's no way to put it. I don't think it's like huge, but probably 40 into Dromai. Azuri, also unfavored. Probably 40 into Azuri. She just has all the arsenal disruption, can shut it down. Favored into Briar. Probably as bad as 65. Katsu, slightly favored. If Katsu finds a window, he can just blow her out. Bravo. Interesting. I'm going to say a very, very slightly unfavored. Kano, I'm going to be honest. I don't have a clue. I don't have a clue about who wins Azalea versus Kano. Because if you dominate an arrow with inertia, you're basically telling Kano that you have to do it right now. Because he's not going to have enough life after, right? Katsu blowing his back out wet. Yeah. No, if he finds the right window, he can get there. He can get there. Yeah, I think not enough blues. That is a good point. Yeah. All right, you guys are saying it's slightly favored. Okay, we'll go 40 into Kano. Fi, I think she's just favored. No way to put it. And then she kind of dunks on all this like pretty well. So we'll go Viscera might actually give her some trouble with the on hits. Just raw value, right? We'll put like 7.5, give or take. All right. So currently, with the matchup spread that I put, Azalea is currently the worst deck that we've done so far, but we've done some good ones, right? So we need to do some more to kind of figuratively figure out is like 4.91 actually is 4.91 actually bad? And also, if you notice, there's not much difference in these numbers, right? So the difference between Azalea, Icelander, and Oldhim, it's not a lot. It's not a lot. So dash, this is an interesting one. We've already indicated that Oldhim into dash is 35, so here it has to be 65. And then into Azalea, we've already dictated that it is 6.5, so we have to do 3.5. And then dash into, or sorry, that's for Azalea. And then for Icelander, it was Icelander dash should be 60. And then we haven't done Lexi. So this is the first one where we're actually just plugging in whatever we want. Okay. So Lexi. I'm going to say dash is unfavored, but not by like a whole lot. It's winnable. Not quite as bad as Azalea, but not good. Dromai, I'm going to say very slightly unfavored. It kind of actually improved Dash's situation as the Dromai has moved more control. Yeah, even if Azalea had AB3, it wouldn't do her no good because she didn't have the resources to even pay for it. Dash into Azuri is unfavored. Dash into Briar is probably 50-50. Dash into Katsu. I'm actually going to say slightly favored. She blocks really well, and as long as you know the blocks and know what you're supposed to be doing. Not sure if it's flexible live, but the TCG logo on the bottom right, when in full screen YouTube, is over the chat box. If you can drag the chat box and overlay like 4 lines. Why is it unfavored into Azuri? The problem is that, yeah, unfortunately I can't do it live. I apologize for that. For Azuri, if she goes, or for Dash, she blocks very well. She's very good at giving 2 cards and then kind of like, she can block 2 cards, present a lot of damage. She's not very fatigable due to the pistol plan. I think she has some really good 2-card hands due to the pistols, or 1-card hand even. So I think Dash is... the problem is Azuri, because of the shreds and stuff, it can really... you can get a lot of those on hits. Like when the shakedown hits, you can just call blue and then strip the blue and they can't load their pistols. I think that's why Dash is slightly unfavored into Azuri. Not the worst, but... yeah, I was saying a lot of good stuff about Dash. Like, it's not unlosable. Yeah, we'll put it 4.5. I don't hate it. Bravo, obviously slightly favored. Kano, I'm going to say Dash favored because of the natural AB3 high blue count. I think she's decent. She can just play a pistol. For Fi, probably slightly unfavored. Fi probably just outraces her. Is the problem because she kind of had to abandon Tower Shard due to sideboarding space. So I'd say slightly favored, probably 4 into Phi. And then she beats up on most of these except Reinarm. So we'll give her a 7 here. Okay, so Dash is slightly better than Azalea, but all of them are very, very close. Very, very close. Okay. So Lexi, we've already done Oldhim into Lexi is 5.5. So here it'd be 4.5. And then Lexi into Icelander. Icelander into Lexi is 4. So there'd be 6 here. And then Lexi into Azalea. Azalea into Lexi is 50-50 is what we said. Then Dash into Azalea is 3.5. Or wait, sorry. Lexi into Dash. Lexi 4. So we have to give the favor to. Yep. So these have to, the mirror square has to add up to 10 is the way it works, right? So okay, so Lexi into Dromai. Once again, kind of similar to Azalea into Dromai, but I would say not quite as bad. Maybe. I mean, it's just rough, man. They get the right. They get the right. They get the right. They get the right dragon out, and it just you got to spend a whole arrow, and then the resources associated with the arrow and the Voltaire shot. I mean, it just. I gotta put a 4. I gotta put the same as Azalea. Maybe it is just as bad. Lexi into Azuri, also unfavored. Not by a whole lot. Once again, a lot of this arsenal disruption from Azuri. However, we have to keep in mind that the Lexi could just arsenal that Rain Razors and the Falcon Wing card, and then just an Endless Arrow as well. Like they said in chat, it's brutal. It's so brutal. So they can just up and win out of nowhere, but Azuri's got that disruption. Got to go with it. Lexi is slightly favored into Briar, especially now with Codex. Before this most recent set, I would say it was a 50-50 matchup, but now it's definitely favored into Briar. Lexi into Katsu. Super interesting. I would say slightly favored. Just the disruption. It could be a lot for Katsu. Bravo, I would say slightly Bravo favored. So I'd probably say 4.5 into Bravo. Kano with Lexi. A lot of breakpoints. Multiple arrows. I would say that. What was Azalea into Kano? 4, I would say it's probably a little bit better. So we'll say 4.5 into Kano. Just being able to dump it is just huge. Absolutely huge. Hang on one second. Okay, so Phi, I would say it's Lexi favored, especially with the new cards. It's just insane. So I would say favored there. Lexi dunks on pretty much all of these. Yeah, maybe not Arachne, but like it's Arachne, so we'll put 8 there. Okay, so currently we are saying that, oh man, these numbers are so close. Which kind of Lexi is a 7 against Kano. You're saying it's Lexi favored? Frostbite's hurt. Lexi's great. More blues. Scary on hits. Okay. You guys sold me. We'll go 6.5. Okay. Yep. Lexi's miserable against Riptide. Okay, so we can knock it down some and go 7.5. I don't disagree. Yep. Okay. So Lexi's a flat 5, which puts her just below Icelander and decent amount below Oldhim. So Oldhim is still our leader. Azalea is actually not doing as good as we think. Okay. Dromai. How many Dromai people we got in chat? Are we gonna have to skip this one? We're gonna have to skip this one probably, right? Just to get on to him a little bit. Why is Lexi versus Bravo Lexi favored? It's not. The way you read this chart is this is the left column is the deck you are playing. So when I'm saying Lexi into Bravo is a 45% win rate, which indicates that it is unfavored, right? So the way you read it is left then up. Okay. All right. Let's give the people what they want. Azuri. No, it's kidding. Let's go and do Dromai. We've already indicated that it's a 50-50 because people be on some copium, but it might actually be valid copium. Dromai into Icelander, we've already indicated. Icelander into Dromai is at 45, so we got to do 55. Oh, my formula is messed up. D6. Let me finish this and I'll fix it. Let's see. Draw my favorite into everything. Yeah, okay. Into Azalea, we've already said Azalea into Dromai is Dromai favored. And then Dromai into Dash. We'll say Dash. Dromai. It is Dromai favored. This is looking good for Dromai so far. Looking really good. Dromai into Lexi. We said it was Dromai favored again. Sheesh. Looking pretty decent. Pretty decent. Okay, Azuri. We said that it's like super. This matchup is so favored. It's like not even funny. Do I have certain deck list in mind when filling the table? So that's a great point. I'm going with what is more likely. The only one that's really relevant when asking that question, in my opinion, could be wrong, is Oldhim, right? Because we don't know how many of the Oldhims are going to go fatigue versus mid range, but like most of the Dromais went control. Most of the Lexis have gone a little bit of ice, mainly fuseless. It's just like Oldhim's really the only one where we don't know, and it's kind of 50-50. Mara's in the chat. I gotta behave on this row. All right, here we go. So Dromai into Azuri is so favored. I'll be honest. I was thinking about playing Azuri for Pro Tour, but this matchup has put such a bad taste in my mouth. I'm gonna say this is 80% in Dromai's favor. It's not even close. It is not even close. It's so favored. So Dromai does not have a bad matchup yet, which, if you think about, is amazing because it's all the higher weighted heroes. I said the word Dromai and you were summoned. Yeah. I mean, okay. Now, I know Mara would disagree and say that Dromai is favored into Briar, but we've never played, so we got to fix that. I'm gonna say, because the Dromais have moved more control, I think, Mara, your list is better into Briar, but because most of the lists that I've seen lately, and the tendencies associated with Dromai. I think they've gone more controlly. So I'm going to put slightly unfavored into Briar. I'm going to say 40-60 into Briar. Because most of the list have gone control. Katsu, I'm going to say the same thing. Kodachis are one hell of a drug. I know that good Dromais can fatigue Katsu because of Katsu's like lesser density of natural go again. Yeah, so however, time snap potion, shortcut Mugenshi into Lord of Wind, you just get all that back. I mean, I think Dark Odious here. Here we go. What's happening? And 80% can't play her into Guardian. I do agree with that statement. I do. Also, Dromai's favorite into Briar. I don't know about that. Control Dromai was better into Briar than Empress was. I mean, it put on a lot more pressure. I always ran more natural go again, like yellow rabbles and stuff like that, so I had less bricking turns. So maybe it was just the way that I built my deck, but sure. We'll go with 45. How about that? We'll make all the Dromai players happy. Dromai into Bravo. It's got to be horrendous, right? You can pitch stack everything you want, but like everything in the deck's a popper. Oldhim, there's some game, obviously, but I'm going to say that the Dromai's 30 into Bravo. Kano. All right. This is an interesting one, right? Because the control list are running cards like Oasis that can like buy time in those sticky situations until they get the Ash Wings. So Kano, I think Dromai is favored, but not by a whole lot. I would probably say probably the same as Icelander, probably 5.5. 5, it's a bad matchup. There's no way to put it. It's a 3. Riptide is bad into Dromai. Viscera is great into Dromai. The Brutes are pretty good into Dromai. Tourney is okay. So these are kind of half and half. So we'll put like a 6 here. Because she's favored into more of them than less. I do need to fix this cell. D6. D6 is this one. Needs to be times. Needs to be times this one. Oh, hang on, guys. So we need to go. What? F11. See if that fixes it. Oh, snap. I didn't want it to happen. Chat. I wanted this number to be so low. I can't tell you guys how much I want. 5 is a 2. Okay, Dark Odious. I'm going to... Okay. Kano is like a 7. So... Since Dark Odious said something negative about Dromai, I have to treat it as the law. So we will put Phi as a 2. To kind of humble a little bit. Yeah. So this is actually crazy. This is a very interesting data point. And like I said, I highly encourage everybody to make one of these themselves. And basically, just make one yourself. Change the matchups how you think they are, right? Or let's say that you have like the most anti like mirror tech for Dromai, and you change this number to a 7. Then like good on you, and like you should do that. But you know, these are just you know these are just my opinions on what I think the meta is. I think I have a pretty good grasp. Not perfect. There are mistakes in this chart. I'm not saying there's not, but I think that yeah. So this is very interesting that that Dromai is that is the leader, and I wanted it to not be. What's that control 5 deck list at the bottom, huh? Oh, that's you see. Oh man. Well, if you see beside it, it says top secret. So I can't click on it. I'm sorry about that. We make best. We can't spill our deck list for Pro Tour 3. Dang. I thought I opened a different sheet. I didn't know I was gonna be spilling all the secrets. Now, for those of you that have seen our previous videos, we in our Pro Tour 2 video that we did here, we left that right there. And I'll go and spill the secret. I'm not gonna keep you guys on the tip of your chairs too long. We did a little video. We intentionally put that there as a video idea to get people like talking. And at the end of the video, we did a little snippet of like our outtakes or whatever, bloopers and kind of stuff. And we just clicked on it, and it just says Kodachi E-Strike. That's literally all it is. There's no control 5. Just a funny little thing for our previous video that just happened to carry over to this one. So anyway, I digress. All right, there's your control 5 deck list, top secret. I'm surprised somebody noticed it. Okay, let's get back into it. Let's finish this chart up. All right, so we got Azuri into Oldhim. Yeah, it's pretty fun. Okay, so Azuri into Oldhim. We've already done that one, so that's 40. What is with that font? Are they all like that? What is happening? Oh, it all calculates the same. So, fuck it. Okay. Azuri into Icelander, we said that was unfavored as well. We said Azuri into Azalea was favored, but how much? Azuri 6. Azuri into Dash. Azuri is a 5.5. And Azuri into Lexi. Lexi into Azuri. It was a 4, so we're going to put a 6. Then Azuri into Dromai. We said it was atrocious, so we put a 2. Okay, Azuri into Briar. I'm going to be honest. I haven't played this matchup because ever since Outsider came out, I kind of threw Briar to the wayside, obviously, given the streams. But I would imagine that because Azuri blocks so well and is very disruptive, a lot of explosiveness from Briar is based around the ability to set up an arsenal for the correct turn. So I'm going to say that it's favored for Azuri. I'm going to say 60-40. Not a whole lot, just enough. Katsu is always on a 4-card hand with Azuri, so a lot less threatening, a lot easier to block. So we're going to say that slightly favored into Katsu. Azuri into Bravo is very interesting. I think, can't you just auto-populate the bottom half of this chart with 4? Yeah, but like that takes work, I guess. You're right, though. Yeah, that for next Pro Tour. I got you, Dark Odious. I got you. So for Azuri into Bravo, I'm going to say that's unfavored. I'm going to say 40-60. Azuri into Kano. That's got to be bad, right? Like, really bad. Probably. The stream will be shorter. Yeah, good point. Good point. Good point. We're milking this. No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that to you guys. I'm going to say unfavored. It's a lot harder for Azuri to get a guaranteed inertia token. Lead the charge, Bravo. Yeah, let's not. Prism's gone. Prism's gone. So let's say 30 into Kano. You can get lucky on a Plague Hive, I guess, and get inertia maybe. Azuri into Phi. I think this is a very interesting one. Like, very interesting. I would probably say Azuri into Phi is. I would actually, because Phi can just run her over. Like, I would say we need that 3-paragraph reasoning on each matchup. Yeah, I'm trying to keep them concise. Yeah, I bet Phi does do fine here. Yeah, just always staying off an Arsenal and you're probably okay. So I'm gonna say like 35 into 5. And then other, she beats up on Riptide, does beat up on Viscera because he wants the big hands. Levia blocks it out. Reinhardt, never a big Blood Rush Bellow. Bolton, easy. Yep, so pretty good into those, even though it's weighted at 1%. So far, Azuri is actually the worst deck we've done so far. Believe it or not. So Oldhim into Briar is 60. And then we have... So this is an easier way to do it. So 60, and then it'll be 40, and then 3.5, and then 50, and then 40, and then 5.5, and then 4. Whoa. Okay. All right, so we got a 4 there, and so Briar into Katsu. I want to say it's probably 50-50. Now that Katsu's got a couple tools, he can do some 5 struggles into 5 struggles into Azuri. Why is that Azuri into Oldhim number so small? What are you referencing? Take the median of what? Yeah, the Darkodius, the way this is done is you have whatever this number is. So like Oldhim into the other category is 8 times 0.01. So that's why I didn't bother breaking these up, because they're gonna. It only holds a weight of 1%. Is the way this works. So no reason to take the median that I see. So Briar into Bravo. I would say I'm gonna say Briar favored, probably 60-40. Briar into Kano, always been favored. Get a little spell void, you good to go. Briar into Phi, I would say slightly favored now that Belittle's gone, so we'll say 5.5. And then we will say into other, Riptide favored, Viscera probably 50-50, maybe a little favored. Levia favored. I would say probably like 7.5 there. All right, so we have an. Oh, she's holding up. She's not the worst deck. We did it, chat. We did it. Oh, the small 4. Yeah, I have no idea. I don't know why it's doing that. To be honest. Oh, it's the font. And something else. I don't know. I don't feel like taking time to fix it, though. So, Katsu will go here. And that would be a 3 into Oldhim. A 4. A 4. A 4.5. Katsu ain't looking too good, guys. Katsu ain't it. A 4. A 6. A 5. No, a 4 into Azuri. And a 5. Okay. So knock those out real quick. Riptide's so strong, he ain't even on the list. Yeah, you know it. Yeah, I wanted Katsu to be good so bad. So bad. But, you know. Into Bravo, I would say that Katsu's slightly unfavored. Not by a whole lot. He could keep pressure on with Mask of Momentum, stop the crippling crushes, but sometimes you just Bravo gets those chains of red attacks going. And they are brutal. Kano. Katsu into Kano, like probably 50-50 because they could both just kill each other out of nowhere. So we'll say 50-50 on that one. Katsu into Fi, I think Katsu can actually be slightly favored in that one. Well, they're both going to run momentum, but you have to block the whelmings, right? Like, so. So we'll say 60 for Katsu. And then for these, pretty decent into all of those. Yep, no issues with those. We'll put 7.5. All right, Bravo. So far, Katsu's actually the worst deck, chat. 5 wins, really. I guess Fi is more consistent. I could see that. I could see that. We'll put 50-50. We'll put 50-50. Or we'll bring it down to we'll say still slightly favored. But man, we're seeing the red creep in, guys. All right. Bravo into Oldhim. We said was a 50-50. And then 4, 5.5. And then 4, and then 5.5. And then 7. Pretty good. A 6, a 4, and a 5.5. Okay, Bravo into Kano. I want to say the dominate, but usually they're pretty quick to get the combo nowadays. You're probably unfavored into that one, but not by a whole lot. Not by a whole lot. Bravo into Fi, I would say unfavored by a little bit. Just more consistent. Simple as that. Bravo into these. Nothing jumps out of me. Pretty standard stuff. So we'll also put 7.5 there. And this makes sense, right? All of these decks that are played more often than these should be favorable into those, right? All right, so Bravo actually is, which if you think about it, most of Bravo's points are coming from the 7 into Dromai because you're basically you get 70 points and then multiply it by The highest weight, tied with the highest weight, right? 15% Oldhim, 15% Azalea, 15% Dromai. And Dromai could even show up in more numbers and him be an even better pick. So it's not necessarily that Bravo is better into Oldhim. If you notice, Oldhim is better into a lot more of the field, but it's just the fact that he's so good into Dromai and has game into basically everything. He's slightly unfavored in a couple spots, but very decent. So Bravo's surprisingly, to me, the second best deck we've done. Kano. All right, let's go and fill in the ones that we've already done. So 7.5 into Oldhim. Then we have a 2.5 in Icelander. Then we have a 6 and a 4 and a 3.5 and a 4.5 and a 7. A 4, a 5, and a 6. Okay. Kano's looking pretty decent. Not going to lie. So Kano into Phi. I think he just gets ran over. I think Phi can put on enough pressure fast enough to where he's probably slightly unfavored. And then into the other category, we go to a Kano into Riptide's probably pretty decent. Viscera, good. Levy and Rhinar Bolt, yeah. Pretty good in all those spots. So we will also put a 7.5. All right, chat. Having Kano unfavored against Icelander is crazy. Does chat, do you guys really believe that? I've never played that matchup, but what I'm going off of is I heard it straight from Hayden Dell's mouth, which anytime he says something negative about Kano, you should probably listen. But basically, he said he would not play Kano if there was a heavy Icelander representation because the matchup was so bad. So unless everyone Kano's favored into Icelander? Yeah, that's what I was thinking. The general consensus is that Icelander is favored. Okay, maybe it's not that bad. So we'll take it to a let's take it to a 4. We'll say 40, which means we have to go to Icelander and change her to a 60. Okay. There we go. 60-60. Yeah. Hamilton versus We Made Best right now. Absolutely. All right. So I will concede on that matchup. I can't say it's Kano favored. I just can't do it. There's no shot. So we are going to say that it's still Icelander favored, just not as much as I originally put, which makes Kano, everybody, Kano is the second best deck. Just ahead of Bravo, just below Dromai. Okay. All right. So interesting that these data points. Okay. One thing that I want to do, don't go anywhere, chat. I'm going to redo the numbers on the Oldhim line based off of whether the Oldhim is fatigue or mid-range. Right now, I'm doing an average of both. I was assuming that like half the Oldhims are fatigue. So if like fatigue Oldhim was X number into Icelander, and then like mid-range Oldhim was this into Icelander, I took an average. And these are the numbers you see here on the top row. So when we get done, I'm going to go back over and kind of see how it changes, basically. The my just exist. Yep. Yeah. Raw score basically doesn't matter. Completely ignore raw score. Raw score is basically, you know how you have some classes in school where you have like 4 exams and you get a total of like 600 points or whatever, and that's the 600 is the raw score, right? But then when we weigh it, the test was only worth 20% of your grade, and applied accordingly. All right, let's do 5 and let's run it down. We got 4.5 into Oldhim. We got 4. We got 3.5. We got 6. We got 4. We got 8. We got 7.5. Got 4.5. 4.5. Uh, 6 and 6. Uh-oh, guys. And 5 pretty much beats most of what's there. So we'll go as far as an 8. Oh, chat. Oh, chat. Chat. 5 was so close. 5 was so close to being the best deck. So close. And once again, I think most of his weight, or the result of his score, is this 8 into Dromai. Having such a good Dromai matchup. Just Control 5 is the best deck confirmed. You guys thought it was a joke. It's on the other document, Oh, man. Mara said burn the chart. Don't let anybody see it. Sorry, guys. We got to close the stream early. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. No, but, I mean, like, let's say I'm a little off, right? Because, like, what I'm saying is not perfect, right? I would never sit there and try to say wrong number on a Azuri matchup. Okay, let's revisit that. So you guys are saying I have 7.5 favoring Phi. That does seem high. Azuri. Let me make sure I just didn't type in the wrong thing. Oh, it's 6.5. Sheesh. Okay. Third best deck. Third best deck. A typo. It's a 6.5 is what I have. Yep. So I inflated the number just enough to get everybody on. They were like, oh, man, it's a good deck. And they just closed the stream, and they're never going to see the adjusted numbers. So if you lose your first match, Mara, against a Phi at Pro Tour, I'm so sorry. So sorry. Yeah, Phi into Azuri, I have a 6.5 now, which should be the correct number. Bad math. Yep, I agree. My bad. So we got Phi into Azuri 6.5, and on the other end, we have 3.5. That is correct math. I had 7.5. Okay, so other, we just walk it back, right? So we say 2, 2.5, and then this whole side is basically irrelevant because it's basically 2.5 the whole way. Can't even see it. And then 2, and then 4, and then 2.5, and then 3, and then 2.5, and then 2, and then 2. Okay. Which is to be expected, right? That's no surprise there. Okay. So this is my completed chart. this is the completed chart, unless you guys see any errors in it, like you did the Azuri. Good catch, everybody. The font here is messed up, but it's in the other category that's 1%, so I don't care enough to change it. Good evening, Wesley. Thanks for being here. Thank all of you for being here. So let's talk about this for a little bit. Let's talk about how we can use this information, this newly found information, and how we address it, right? So the way that I read this chart is, what are the best decks? Dromai, Bravo, Kano, and Phi. Okay. But let's ask ourselves, why are they the best matchup? Is it because all three of those but Kano is favored into Dromai? That's the way I'm reading it. Oh, Chris, best deck Dromai. Hate to break it to you. That's what the math says anyway. As soon as I plugged in the numbers, I did not want it to be true. I did not want it to be true. But this is, once again, for anybody that joined us later in the stream, the way that you read this chart is your matchup is on the left here. So, for example, Oldhim into Briar is 60% or 40%. If you are playing Oldhim, you win 40% into Briar. So you read left column to the upper column, okay? And then you take that number, apply the weight of the hero in the matchup, metagame share percentage, and it comes up with a score. That score is all accumulated under the adjusted score, which represents the power of the deck based off of my metagame share percentages. This could easily change. If you think Dromai will be 20%, then it's just going to skew everything. You know, if you think there's more Dromai, the way you should look at this chart is you should walk down the Dromai category. Okay? Anything that's green for Dromai goes down. They go down, right? If Dromai is 20% of the meta, all the Azalea, Lexi, Azuri, the scores on those decks go down. Whereas Phi, Bravo, Katsu, they all go up. Right? That's the way that you could do that. Kano should be a 3.5 in against Dromai. What do I have him at? Kano into Dromai is a 4.5. I mean, maybe. Let's plug it in and see how it changes things, right? Let's say that Dromai is 65 into Kano. Which would put 3.5. So what that did was that just dropped Kano and then up Dromai. Okay? By a decent amount, actually. So maybe we shouldn't be as much on... But, I mean, like, that's just something that you guys can play with and kind of theorize in your head, you know. You add some to these, you decrease the other ones, you know. You can do it accordingly. And like I said at the beginning of the stream, if you have some tech for the mirror match, it doesn't have to be 50-50, right? Like, obviously, if two Oldhims play each other, one wins, one loses, that's a 50-50, unless they draw, right? But I think it's kind of naive to say all decks are 50-50 in the mirror, right? Like, you could have, for example, Matthew Folks, when he played Briar in Pro Tour 2, you know, he had a more aggressive version that utilized creepers in an aggressive way to gain an edge specifically in the mirror, right? So his matchup was favored. So you can go down and change these if you want, right? So let's also do one thing real quick. I want to do one thing. I want to change the Oldhim line to fatigue Oldhim. I want to do that real quick. Okay? So Oldhim and Oldhim, we're doing 50-50 because we're assuming same deck, right? And Oldhim into Icelander, if it's fatigue, I don't think it's that bad. I want to say it's 50-50. Okay, let me screen cap this real quick. So well, it's all down here. It's all down here, so we're good. Right? Yeah, we can just go down here and then paste it here. Yep, so we're good. So let's say it's 50-50 in the Icelander. If I'm assuming the Oldhim is straight fatigue, life gain fatigue. Okay. Azalea, it gets even more favored, probably 6.5. Hell, maybe even 7 if it's life gain. And the reason I think that way is the counter to dominate is life gain because you're shifting the block to your turn, is the idea there. It is worsened to dash, so I'm going to go with 3 there. If they don't Warhorn in 3 turns, they lose the game. Lexi, you are even more favored into that probably. By a little bit, not a lot. Dromai, I don't think it changes. I really don't. For Azuri, you probably get a little bit more favored. Briar, I don't think it changes. Katsu, I think it actually gets worse. As crazy as that sounds. That's me knowing the time snap tech, if you will. Bravo, probably still 50-50. Kano, it gets literally 0. Literally 0. And then Phi, it's pretty bad. Pretty bad. Goes to like a 4. So it's a 5.20. So it didn't change a whole lot. So let's just Control Z all the way back down. Okay. So fatigue, the difference between fatigue Oldhim and averaging mid-range and regular in fatigue Oldhim is only a difference from 5.11 to 5.2. So that's the difference isn't that much. It's not what I thought it would be. So now that we got that clarified, so I guess the next question is, how do we exploit this data, right? How do we come up with a game plan that allows us to manipulate this information and use it to our benefit at the Pro Tour? Well, we have to say, okay, we think Dromai is both going to be in abundance and the best deck based on the data. We don't know if that's true, but the data and Mara agree in Dark Odious that Dromai is the best. Okay. So, with that being said, Phi, Bravo, get an edge, basically, into that. So I guess the question is there a way that you could play Bravo or Phi? Is there any way that you could not lose any points on Dromai and basically increase your Ranger matchup? Right? Or Bravo, can you increase Icelander or Dash without giving up anything on Dromai? Those are the questions you got to start asking yourself, right? Basically, this corner, if you look, basically everything in this corner is the more important number because it has to do with the higher percentage meta share, right? So, literally the only thing Dark Odious and I agree on. It's weaker into Fatigue Oldhim too. Yep. But stronger into Aggro Oldhim. Yep. 100%. There's no way the meta spread stays this open after this weekend. That's an interesting point, but you have to remember, right? Put yourself in the pro's shoes, right? Like I'm not saying you're not a pro. Don't take it that way. I'm just saying that like put yourself like let's just use like one of the grinders as an example, Brody Spurlock or like Michael Fang, people who go to all the battle hardens, right? Let's say they've been working with their team on their pro tour deck. Would you take that list after working on it for a month? Would you take that list and take it to a battle harden? Like maybe? I don't know like Brody and Michael in that way. I'm just using them as an example. I don't know if they're the type to hold back or whatever, but I'm just saying that a lot of people would be tempted to hold back. They might play the same hero, but they might take out like some tech cards or whatever, whatever the case may be. So yes, the battle harden this weekend will be impactful, but you have to keep that in the back of your mind that not everybody's bringing what they're playing to Pro Tour, right? Because that would theoretically be the meta, is if everybody agreed to bring what they were bringing to the Pro Tour to Richmond, Virginia for the battle harden, that would be our meta, right? So, but we don't have that agreement. We don't know if that will happen. So, Chris, I love you, Nathan, but you're wrong about Azuri, man. Teach me. Let's get together and but what I've seen the Oldhims do is like adapt, like Man Saint said during his stream. The problem I've been having in that matchup is they'll run the sledge, so your scale peeler does nothing, right? Because they're not running Rampart, so it's just there, and they block 2 cards, and then swing 6. Right, with sledge, and then occasionally play a red from Arsenal. And what ends up happening is you just get fatigued as Azuri. You just do, because there's so many D-reacts, so much prevention, whether they're mid-range or fatigue, and it just that matchup has not been great for me. And really, the reason that Azuri's number is so low on this chart is the Dromai match, man. I think it's literally a 20% matchup. I think we've agreed on that, right? Like it's just a dodge, right? Like that's just what you got to do. But I think Azuri is slightly unfavored in the Oldhim. Like Icelander matchup isn't great. But once again, that's not really relevant because Icelander, I only have her at 5%. Favored into all the Rangers, right? Favored into Dash. We have bad matchup into Dromai, 50-50 in the mirror. Favored into Briar, Katsu. Slight underdog into Bravo because he operates on the same axis as Oldhim, is just swing Amethyst every turn. As long as they stay disciplined, they're fine. Kano, you don't run any blues, you get blown up. And Phi, I think that one could be debated, but I only have Phi at 3%, so it's not changing the number any. Right? I think it's closer to 35% with Hurl and more generic Go again. I agree, but yeah, it's not gonna shift it too much, right? Let's play with it, right? Let's change Dromai to 3.5, right? So currently Azuri is sticking at a 4.75. If we change Dromai to a 3.5, it doesn't help her any. She's still not. She is the 1, 2, 3, 4. She's the 5th worst deck, right? Yeah, I could say favored into Phi. I could see that. I actually agree with that. I could say 5.5 into that, and we can go to Phi and change that into Azuri. I actually agree with that notion. I don't know what I was thinking. Mara. Phi's going down. Phi is going down as we adjust. Okay. Okay. So we need to change the Dromai back, though. I still think it's a 2. Gonna stick with that one. And so even adjusting the Phi accordingly, it just... are we assuming that dash is like mid-range? Yes. There will be tree frog there. 100%. But my numbers are based off of mid-range pistol dash with no Talishar in it due to sideboard. We're safe, everyone. Yeah. For now, you're safe. But the Bravos might come out of the woodwork, so I can't guarantee anything. Talking about red line or contract is there currently talking about red line. Red line. I don't think contract Azuri is terrible. I just... If we change Dromai to 10% of the meta and put 2.5% more to Lexi and Azalea. Okay, let's see. We can change it back. It doesn't hurt anything. So if you want, you said you wanted to take Dromai to 10% and then have Lexi go to 12.5 and Azalea to 17.5. There's your chart. Dromai got even better. Dromai got better because she's favored in the Rangers and you just increase the Rangers, right? That's the way that works. But there's, you can screen cap that or whatever. But I'll go ahead and put it back. But that's your chart as an example of what you were suggesting. And if anybody else wants me to like make some changes like that based on what they think the meta will be, let me know in chat just like they did. Hey, change this number to this number. What comes out, right? The Dromai's lurkers are in chat. All right, Chris, ask me. Ask me. Do I think you're crazy for registering Azuri? I don't know. I mean, I think Sam Donda is a great player. And he trailblazed the list of Azuri and made her into what she is today. Can it change? Can it adapt? Absolutely. It can. But can you change the Dromai to 0%? Bro, I wish. But like I was saying to Chris, he's a great player. He made a great list. But I think the performance in Chicago was indicative of being a surprise factor. People not understanding the 2-card rotation of block 6 presents something, kind of rotating. Of course, that only works if you have a big weapon. Like the Guardians, that's how you beat Azuri. And I don't think they knew that. And there wasn't a lot of Guardian in Chicago. So maybe that's why I don't know what his matchups were. I think that would be a big data point probably. You want to see Empress Dromai numbers. Okay, Mara, I'll make a deal with you. You type out the numbers in a row of what they are, and I'll plug them in. Because you know better than anybody. You don't have to like put the name or anything. You just put like 4, 5, and I'll just walk it down the line, and I'll throw it in there. Will the chart be made clonable so I can adjust my predicted shares? What we can do is we can, I will post it in our Discord. So if you're not in there, hop in there real quick. You know, it doesn't, for the low price of, or 4 easy payments of 19. I'm just kidding. Yeah, if you hop in our Discord for free, of course, you just hop in there. I will post it in our general chat where everybody can see it, so that way you can download it after the stream's done. Not going to do that right now, but after the stream's concluded, I will paste it in there, and everybody can change how they want, basically. Don't think that you're going to get the super secret Pro Tour Control 5 deck list that's top secret. Okay, Mara, you said change Dromai's Azalea to 5. Okay, so Dromai, Azalea to 5. So she loses some points there. Her Briar to a 6. Her Katsu to a 5. Bravo to a 4. And a Phi to a 4. It went nothing but up, Mara. It went nothing but up. But I mean, I'm no expert, but if you made those changes, wouldn't you have to like knock down Oldhim because it's a little rougher into Oldhim? Not saying it's unwinnable, but like maybe 30% into Oldhim, whatever. You'd have to make those changes accordingly. But you went from a 5 to I'm gonna Control Z it all the way back to see what the delta is. So 5.52. Just remember that number. You went up 0.05. Nothing but up. Damn right. That's right. And Oldhim to a 3. Yeah, and honestly, you would lose those 0.05 points as soon as you knocked Oldhim to a 3 because I have Oldhim at a 15% meta share. So honestly, it'd probably be the exact same. It would probably be the exact same. You're just shifting your matchups is all you're doing. Absolutely. Once again, if anybody wants me to change anything to kind of simulate, if they disagree with a number, I'm more than, as long as it's simple and like quick, I'm more than willing to entertain it. I'll be honest, Mara, I'm worried about fatigue. I've built half my reputation off of being able to beat fatigue, and I'm still worried about it. Just peace of mind. I know some people think it's not that good, but it is. Like what Prodigy said, it's entirely possible. 20% Oldhim. I don't disagree with that. I don't. As I was making this chart before, just kind of setting it up, I didn't do the data or anything, but I knew you was gonna say it, Prodigy. I knew you was gonna say Dromai should be favored into Oldhim. I had a 5-minute discussion about why I put 50-50 there, because nobody can agree. So it sounds like nothing matters. Unironically great. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I think peace of mind is literally insane. I mean, if you do the math on peace of mind, right? It's a 2-cost card. Then you have 1 for Crown of Seeds or Rampart, whichever one's more applicable, right? So you're investing 2 cards, a blue and peace of mind / piece of equipment, a 2-card investment to block 4 damage, plus the resource on the Crown of Seeds is a 5th damage. So 2-card investment to stop 5 damage, but you're being refunded a card. Now, normally you would say that the unknown variable of the card would discount the value on the Ponder token, right? But because you have Crown of Seeds, it could be the worst card in your deck, and it functions just the same. Prodigy said, I'm 4-0 in the match recently. Oh, we can't get into this now. We can't get into this. 4-0 into the matchup. But see, you start asking Oldhim players and they say the exact same thing. The exact same thing. And I don't know who's beating a one-legged man in a race. Like, I just don't know. He should not be allowed to ponder. Yeah, you would think somebody so old would be a little bit more, keen on being mindful of their time and not sitting around thinking. I agree. In our top cards, okay, I will admit we completely dropped the ball on Codex of Frailty. we said Codex of Blood Rot was the best one. We were way off on that one. But I said in the video at the very end that Peace of Mind was the best card in the set. And Codex of Frailty is probably better, I will admit. But like Peace of Mind is just so good, I think. We could look at the standard deviation in the notes to see the hero is more consistent. But it looks like standard deviation just against the top 5, 7. Yeah. I'll do that, and then I'll post it on Twitter. So if you don't follow me, catch me there. I always post when I'm going live, things like that. That's the best place to kind of keep track. But I can definitely do that. Absolutely. Nathan, you should shout out that Dromai from Tennessee. He's pretty good. He is. What was it you were playing? Like Stony Wooten Hog or something? That shit was wild, bro. Oh, it was so wild. So wild. But I respect it. I 100% agree. You can tell who practices on Talent Shard by, yep. Oh, this is 80-20. Yep, absolutely. Look, I'll say I'll put one more I'll put one more point on the Oldhim and the Dromai matchup, right? After Mara did her great performance at the Battle Hardened, right? We saw a heavy shift into that direction of Dromai, right? And however, when Outsiders came out, everybody knew that to compete against the Rangers, you're more beneficial to go control. And same for Oldhim, right? So the Dromais, as far as I'm aware, I'm not in some secret Dromai club like you guys are, like Dark Odious, Prodigy, and Mara. I'm not in the cool club with Illusionists, right? But from what I can gather, the people I've been talking to, the conversation I've been having, the people I've been listening to, they've went more the control direction. But it's been more recent, right? So probably within like the last 2 weeks. And I don't know, this is something to be mindful if you're a Dromai player. Have you given the Oldhim players enough time to adapt? Right? It's kind of like you need to. I would recommend looking at it in a way to where, like, okay, you were very quickly as a Dromai player presented the problem and how to correct for it very quickly, right? It was like, obviously control's better, right? Or at least that's my thought process. And whereas the Oldhim players, Oldhim players, I'll be honest, they had to go through a midlife crisis for the first time ever in the life of the hero. Earth React is more valuable than Ice React, I believe. That's never happened in Oldhim. So, as a Dromai player, have you given the Oldhim players enough time to combat you, is the question. right? Because they got a lot of things to worry about. They got a whole lot of people that need fatiguing, right? And so I think if you give them, if you are on the fence of Dromai being 60% into Oldhim, they may not be 50-50 now, but I think by the time Pro Tour rolls around, that could be 50-50 is what I would advocate. Will that be true? I have no idea. All I know, I'll repeat for the chat. All I know is the last time we made a chart, this is what our chart looked like for Pro Tour 2. Right here. Okay? We said the best decks were Prism, Briar, and Viscera for Pro Tour 2. And then we go here. What were the top 8 decks at Pro Tour 2? We hit the nail on the head on every single one of them, except this lonely little dash. Right? We said Briar, Viscera, Prism. Briar, Viscera, Prism. Top 3 decks. We did it last time. I'm not saying because I was right once, I'm right again. I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying, I'm glad you agree, Prodigy. That means a lot because I know in a hero-centric card game, it's very easy to like become like really passionate about you know, your hero and the capabilities of your hero. And it's actually a very difficult situation to like take a step back. Yeah, I appreciate that you're kind of considering the take. I really do appreciate that. Let me catch up on chat a little bit. Happened when you changed the percentages for Mara? I changed it back. I Control Z'd it all the way back. So it should be back. I think when you changed the matchup percentages, it might have broke the formula that added elements opposite. Yeah, so if I change the element, so if I change the Dromai numbers, it only changes this corresponding box to Dromai. It only changes Dromai's score. It does not change anything anywhere else. So, yes, the numbers would be different, which would make all the other scores temporarily invalid, but the scores do not adjust off of what is there. They adjust off of I'll say this, I'll be very nervous playing Big Boy Dragon into this meta. The deck is definitely not an unknown quantity. Deck has a pretty big bullseye on it. I 100% agree, Amar. 100% agree. Didn't you know that Noah and Jamie broke it? Yeah, we'll see. We will see. If Oldhim's want to tech for Dromai, they 100% can. Absolutely. They probably have the biggest card pool in the game at their That's actually a very good point, Prodigy. Are they more scared of Azalea or you? That's a very, very good point. And I think it's what's going to I think that is what is going to kind of dictate or swing one way or the other. That's a very good point. And I don't know. Me personally, I would be more scared of Dromai than I would be Azalea. I would just throw Peace of Mind on the deck and say Azalea's fine. That's my opinion. And up my earth count a tad. 6 earth, more than enough. It's easy to want your hero to be Grays if you love them and ignore the math. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, look at my favorite hero. My favorite hero is Briar, and she's what? The 3rd worst deck right? She's the third worst deck. And I love that hero. I've played more of that hero. I've been playing that hero since Tales of Aria came out. Just not her time, and that's okay. And me as a player, I'm going to adapt. And I'm going to figure something out and try and take it down. I personally think decks built very different. How much does Oldhim really need to tech for Azalea? Yeah, I agree, Mara. That's exactly what I said. They already had Chokeslam. Just throw in Peace of Mind, call it a day. Staunches. Yep. The only thing with Staunches, I think the Azaleas have kind of adapted and done like Release the Tension and Remorseless and stuff like that, to where if you put one in Arsenal, it can become a liability in the wrong spot. So just be careful. Chokeslam, yep, if you want to be edge for Azalea and Dromai. I don't know how Chokeslam does good things into Dromai. I don't understand that. Because when is she pumping attacks? I guess premeditate, but yeah, I don't see that one. I think Briar is going under the radar. Yeah, she's not terrible. Like, she's a 4.87, better than Azuri. But I can tell you right now that I worked a little bit on her to try, and I did some things like I took out Nimblism and put in Come to Fight just to up the knock my earth count a little bit down, and put in Burdens of the Past, not as like an anti-fatigue or anything like that, but just as a 0 cost, block 3, blue, go again. And then added a couple more D reacts, and it just still just Codex of Frailty. I even came up with a little nifty, like I would play one Infectious Host, get it in the graveyard as fast as possible, and anytime they Codex of Frailty me, I would go grab Infectious Host and then play it to give the Frailty back to them, because Infectious Host does not have to hit. Fatigue Oldhim is going to beat Azalea and lose to Dromai. I don't think any Oldhim will be aggro at Pro Tour. I think it'll be mid-rangey. Turn Timber, Earth Oldhim is low-key really good. 100% agree. 100% agree. How do you think is Viserai? So Viserai has a little problem with Dromai, or not Dromai. Viserai is obviously very favored into Dromai. The problem with Viserai is, let's look at our top meta share here. Okay, bad into Oldhim, especially with Fatigue Oldhim, Atlanta. Bad into Icelander, right? Bad into Azalea. 1 red ledger, more than enough to lose. Probably 50-50 into Dash. Unfavored into Lexi. Favored, beats the snot out of Dromai, sure. I would say unfavored into Azuri. Maybe 50-50 at best, right? So, like, the only one you're favored in out of all these percentages playing Viserai is Dromai. So, unfortunately, just not a fan of Vis right now. I love Combo Vis was the first deck that I truly fell in love with. I'm a Runeblade man. I've won a Pro Quest on every Runeblade. I love them. It's just not their time today, and that's okay. That's okay. Yep, Rosetta, fight another day, absolutely. I come from LOR, what's that, Legends of Runeterra? I'm very used to switching decks and playstyles. Yep. Or is that Lord of the Rings? Legends of Runeterra. I guess Lord of the Rings would have a T in it, so I'm assuming that's Legends of Runeterra. Now update Briar with the Earth Briar list. Oh, we gotta keep that on the hush hush now. No, I mean, it's cute. It's just bad against Ranger. It's so bad. 100 in the chat. Thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate everybody being here. I'm more than welcome any feedback on how I can make these streams better for all of you, anyway. I just got done updating the UI, how the stream's laid out and everything. It looks a lot cleaner. Always looking to make it better. Yeah, Viscera is great into Dromai, but out of these top decks, that's about it. That is about it. Contract Azuri is a meme. Yeah, it does seem that way. Could I run the numbers for Contract Azuri? I'll be honest with you. I don't know enough about the deck to actually run those numbers. Not that it's actually going to change that much. You're still dog water into Dromai. I mean, it really just depends. But I honestly don't think that it's going to change anything. I really don't. Raw number like that makes ignore the raw score. Please, everybody. Ignore these numbers. The adjusted score is the one that we care about. The adjusted score. Raw score is simply just adding up all these, right? But like like Dromai is a 6 into the other category because of the brutes. She has a lower raw score than a lot of these decks, but a higher adjusted score because one of her worst categories is into something that has 1% meta share. So just please keep that in mind, guys. Ignore the raw score. It shouldn't even be there, to be honest. Catch up on this chat. Yeah, split damage is brutal, absolutely. Dromai into multiple old. Make a long to have competing. I'm glad you brought that up. Mental fatigue. I think this Pro Tour will test people's mental fatigue more than any flesh and blood event that's ever happened. Just the way the meta is shaping, like most games will not end under 30 minutes. There's no way. Most of the matches are probably going 40, 50 minutes. And I'm very interested to see how the players adapt. When we get in a Shadow Ninja, man, I'm dreaming, man. That would be so cool. That would be so cool. I'll take another Shadow Runeblade too, though. Do we think the representation of Big Dragon Dromai versus Empress going to be roughly 50-50? I do not personally. I think it'll be 80-20 favoring Big Dragon. But that's my opinion. I'm more than willing to accept the possibility that I'm wrong. More than willing. Dreadbore with a bunch of zero cost reds. Riptide is really cool deck for Runeblade lovers. Yeah, I'm just not big on Riptide. Something about the bows, they just rub me the wrong way. I like just playing 0-for-4s. I don't like paying to play them. But Riptide does avoid that by the hero ability. Absolutely. Doing a great job, Nathan. Loving the weekly streams. I really do appreciate that. I really do. It means a lot. I'm a non-believer in Contract Azuri. Me too currently, but things change. Things change. You might have mentioned it already, but Oldhim has the ability to adapt to almost anything. Absolutely. I mentioned that it had the largest card pool in the game, just about, and has the most tools to adapt to any situation. So 100% not ignoring that coming from Oldhim. Absolutely. X Flesh and Blood X. What we won't ignore is the Control 5 top secret deck list. So that's kind of a meme, tip in the hat to a prior video. We did like a video. I'll go over it again. We did a video and like left it down there, and people mentioned it in the comments. And at the end of the video, we did like a little bloopers reel where we talked about how we're just gonna put it down there to get people to talk about it. But if you click on it, it just says Kadachi E-Strike. It's just a little meme for the stream / video. Just something to laugh at. No secret Control 5 tech. Oldhim will have a Wheel of Steel. I hope not. I can't stand that hero. Can't stand the hero. Doing lines of Adderall in the bathroom between rounds. Well, you might need it. Crown is saving brick turns that Bravo have. Yeah, absolutely. But Crippling Crush right now is better than it has ever been. And more just natural armor is good against the Rangers. So Bravo has validity to it. It really does. I've always been. I played a lot of games with Kale, and I've always been a person that says, why would you ever play Bravo? I've always said that in all of our videos before this one. But now for the first time, I actually agree that there's a reason to play Bravo. There just is. Shane, star of the show, coming. Oh, Chain. Okay. I think it's going to be 80-20 big draft. Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, more. I agree. 80-20. Absolutely. Just like the beef, right? Who's bringing the beef? All right. Riptide would have some completely and goofy grain baking secret. Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to crack Riptide. I think he needs another set to really get there. I just can't find any reason on why I would play Riptide over everything else. Or the other Rangers, even. Does Iris Dromai get slaughtered by the other versions of the deck? I do believe it does. Because you can just attack with all your dragons, and then your last one you just... Because your popper has to be a non-illusionist attack. So your Miraging Metamorphs and stuff like that, they're not going to pop. So... Iris Dromai is the way. Yeah, I'll best of luck with it. Best of luck with it. Kadachi, E-Strike. What more could a person need? Absolutely. It's off to see that Lexi is better than Azalea, but I get it really is. It just comes down to the fact that Azalea is one-dimensional. She can only do one thing, and everybody knows it now. Everybody knows exactly what's happening, right? Whereas Lexi, there's more facets to the turn. Azalea presents all the information up front and says, deal with it. Whereas Lexi says, here's an arrow. You don't know what's coming next. Here's another arrow. There's still another one after this. Do you want to block this one? Right? And I think that's more impactful than dominate. Because you're giving people more opportunity to make a mistake, whereas dominate just says you're not allowed to make a mistake. Is there a Katsu build that can do what Dash does by switching plans? I know there was a strong Katsu control build a while back. You're referring to Turtle Katsu. So it's something I've been playing with recently. And I don't think it's there because you need the explosiveness to handle certain matchups. And basically, the deck just operated on Kadachi, one cost attack that was like 5 attack or higher to threaten Mass Trigger. And then you ran a bunch of D-Racks and stuff. The problem with that is I hate to say this because I love the game, and it's not a bad thing, but the game doesn't operate on a strict value axis like it used to. It just doesn't. There's too many explosive things in the game to just sit there and say, yeah, if I present 7 every turn, I'll win the game. Like, imagine Icelander if she couldn't disrupt, right? It's just not enough. It's just not enough. Iris Dromai does very well into Guardian. I agree, 100%. I wonder, does she use Codex? Lexi. Everybody that can play Codex plays Codex. I can guarantee that. I want to see a hero get dishonored on stream. Well, we did it during the last Katsu stream, so if you want to watch that, go back. I think I actually dishonored another Katsu. It was good stuff. Azalea also having roughly 9 seek and destroys now. Really let her hold on to tempo. Absolutely. Bravo Azalea is fun. You basically play the same tempo game into each other. Yeah, and it's great because Bravo gets 1 free out during the game due to his armor, which actually makes the matchup very interesting because there comes a point where Bravo says, hey, I'm going to take tempo for a sec by jamming the armor. and then Azalea has to like wedge her way in and kind of like either make a value play by having a D react, or has to rely on Bravo tripping and drawing like all blues or something. So it's actually a very interesting dynamic. How has Fi evolved post ban? Haven't seen him in a while. Same. Basically, I mean, he's just a better Katsu, to be honest. Because the problem is, like, Katsu has the ability to go find his combo pieces, right? But the problem is that he has to go look for them, right? Whereas Fi just has, no matter what 4 cards he draws, unless it's like a really bad brick, he can just throw up his hand, right? Yeah, Fi was decent until Outsiders came out. I do agree with that. I don't think he was the best, but he was good. I tried to control Katsu with head jab and recoil, and it was worse. So, yep. Premeditating Lexi, you should be playing it. Unless you're on like Death Dealer Ice Lexi. I let myself get dishonored all the time. Dishonor gives me nightmares. Yeah, as a Dromai player, that's the crap out of me. It can be a couple outs, to be honest, with the Bravo armor. Absolutely. It's a very interesting match. And I actually enjoy playing it. Completely off topic. But Looming Doom can target dragons. What? It says target on Looming Doom, so you can send... Well, I mean, Rune Blades aren't really having trouble into Dromai, so it doesn't really help anybody. Like, but, I mean, that's cool. Like, good on you for sharing that. Like, that's neat. We'll save that for Dusk Till Dawn. How about that? We'll put that in our back pocket, and we'll revisit that. Do you like hardened cross straps or tunic more than Katsu? I love hardened cross straps. It's just a free get out of jail free when you don't draw a blue. Unless it's, I have both in my list, but you know, most of my matches are cross straps, and then the longer matches or Icelander or Wizard, I just run tunic. Lexi needs. Yep. Lexi is much harder to play than Azalea. Sorry, Levi, but I just truly believe that with everything in me. Think Doria is solid right now. I don't know. Like, the design of Doria, she wants to sit back and like play real mid range and like wait on a bit Arsenal, a really high threat. But like, there's so much inertia coming around that she gets put in spots where she has to play, and she not be ready. It's kind of weird. Is Lexi running fuseless now? Then yes, I agree that most Lexis are running fuseless. I think they might incorporate like an ice pack, a small ice package for like Azalea, like Red Arctic Incarcerations and cards like that, but not too many of them. Did we get to the deck that I should be playing for Baltimore yet? Yeah, Pat. It's looking like Dromai or Bravo right now. Surprisingly. That's what the math says. I think Dromai is favored into Briar. Not if I'm playing it. Yeah, Levi's a cool dude. He I don't think he would disagree either. Now, I think the way that Azalea used to be played, right? He said it in an interview perfectly. He said that the mid-rangey Azalea, you just can't play it that way because you need your hand to be able to be played like linearly, basically. Whether you have 1 card, 2 cards, 3 cards, 4 cards, you know, you need to all just, it needs to scale really well. And so it just made the deck very one-dimensional. Absolutely. Once again, thanks everybody so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. I hope this gives everybody some value on what they want to play for Baltimore. Disclaimer, this will not help you avoiding, or this will not increase your chances of a 3-0 in your draft, unfortunately. But good news is that draft currently scheduled, it is CC then draft, which I think is good. I think that's good. So now that I'm caught up on chat, we can talk more about how we can use some of this data to our advantage. I appreciate it, boss, for stopping by. Taco Time. I really do appreciate it. I really do appreciate it. Bolton? No, Bolton ain't it. I can promise you one thing. Josh won't be playing Bolton at Pro Tour. You know what frailty and inertia does to Bolton? All right. So, looking at this chart, where my mind goes is kind of like what I was kind of predicating to earlier, was we know Dromai is going to be a heavy hitter, and so is Bravo, so is Kano. We know these things, right? And I think this chart best serves not necessarily what deck to play, but mainly like sideboarding decisions. But also what deck to play. I think that's a very important part, right? Because maybe you were really excited about Katsu because of the new tools, but didn't like visually, analyze like, oh, the Oldhim matchup just ain't there. The Icelander matchup ain't there. The Azalea matchup ain't there. The Lexi matchup ain't there. And like those are the 4 most represented decks, right? So, maybe this is like, maybe this is the graph that takes a lot of people off of a bad decision. Maybe. Absolutely. So as far as what I'm going to play for Pro Tour, I will not be playing the top secret Control 5 deck list at the bottom. Will not be. What I'm currently doing is I'm trying to... I refuse to play a deck that folds into Dromai. Won't do it. So am I playing Azuri? No shot. I can't do it. I think there'll be too much there. Just too much. Like I just can't see myself doing that. So, but what I can do is I'm okay taking a 50-50 into Dromai. I think that's completely like fair. So like Oldhim being 50-50 into Dromai, that's perfectly fine. The one thing, so I hope T's in here, or at least hears this. But on our last video, the meta tier list that we made, I kind of called out the tree frog dash and said that I think my exact words, that if you're thinking about playing that deck, you don't understand what the current meta situation is. I think were my exact words. And T, I hope you can like clip this or something. I was wrong. T. I think it's actually a decent deck, right? Let's look at it. Tree Frog Dash spanks Oldhim, right? Destroy it. Icelander, I don't think it's that great into Icelander. I think it's pretty bad into Icelander. But Icelander's a lot lower percentage, right? It should be good into Azalea. You get, reinforce the line. A lot of D reacts. I think you're fine into Azalea. You even have some life gain to offset the big turns. The dash mirror, you're probably slightly unfavored. Like ever so slightly. Favored into Lexi. Dromai, I'm not sure. Tree Frog dash into Dromai, Mara. What can you tell me about that? Specifically, Big Dragon Dromai. Azuri, you're probably favored as Tree Frog dash. Briar, unfavored. Katsu, unfavored. Bravo, favored. Kano, probably favored. Just park Oasis down there. Call it a day. Phi, unfavored. But so your worst matchups are Briar, Katsu, and Phi, which are all like lower percentages based on mine. So Tree Frog Dash, T, if you're listening, somebody tag him on Twitter and get him in here. I was wrong. Like, there's no other way to say it. I think Tree Frog Dash is an extremely valid deck right now. I know you like Briar. I'm just saying Empress Dromai was built on Briar foundations. I've played your list. Your list, Mara, was the first list that I played. Your list was the first list that I played after I knew Briar was just dead in the water. I took your the one that Man Saint was playing where you added the premeditate. I had so much fun pitch stacking a nourishing emptiness and then triple premeditating into a nourishing for 15 dominate to close out an Oldhim game. It was the funnest time I've ever had playing Flesh and Blood. I love the deck. I love the fact that it was still had that aggressive, feel to it, but you could fall back on the dragons if you really needed to. If you really needed to, like, I was using the dragons as more of like a healing technique more than anything, to be honest. I love the deck though. I really do. You're gonna play Briar. I would say there's exactly a 5% chance I'll play Briar at Pro Tour. Dromai is where I've spent most of testing. It's likely what I'm playing. I think it's a solid pick, Will. How scared of Dash am I on Bravo? I think you should be pretty scared, especially if they're Tree Frog. Icelander will Frost-Hex combo into Tree Frog. Yeah, I thought that was pretty unfavored. But I'm not expecting that many Icelanders. I don't think they can compete with the Rangers. I really don't. The way that I'll know that Icelander is not the best deck is when Hamilton shows up with something else. Tree Frog is favored into Big Dragons. Not hugely, but favored. All right, thanks for that information, Mara. Then if that's the... All right, let's do the dash numbers. Let's do the dash numbers based on Tree Frog Dash. Okay. Kano destroys Tree Frog. I do agree. Yeah, because they'll get you... They'll park one Oasis, but then... Yeah, if the Kano knows what they're doing, they can just pitch stack exactly what they need and double Aether Wildfire. So I do agree. And the dash isn't putting on a whole lot of pressure either. So let's do Tree Frog Dash real quick. I want to put those numbers in and then come back. So in the Oldhim, Tree Frog Dash is easily 80% favorite. Probably 40 into Icelander for Tree Frog. Azalea, favored, probably 70%. Dash, I think we have to assume a mirror, but Lexi, you're also favored. Dromai, Mara said slightly favored. I'll take her word for it. So we'll say 55. Okay. Azuri. You probably just fatigue them, to be honest. So probably favored. Briar unfavored. Katsu unfavored. Bravo favored. Kano unfavored. 5 really unfavored. Oh shit. Chat. Well, chat. We stumbled on a nugget. This is actually huge. Tree Frog Dash I have at a 5.97, which is very clearly the best. That's insane. Like, it's not even close. It's not even close, chat. Almost a 6 for Tree Frog Dash. Huh. Well, T, I apologize for talking shit about your baby, but yeah, I was wrong. Because I really do believe in these charts. Like, they're not perfect, obviously, but I think we know enough. And what we'll do after Richmond, I'll regather my thoughts. I will, like, redo this chart, and I'll probably just post it on Twitter. I'm not going to make a whole nother stream out of it because I think it's just like, or I could do like the intro of the stream maybe and kind of go over it. But yeah, Tree Frog Dash is up there. So maybe after Richmond, we can revisit it and go back into it and kind of see how things changed based off of who showed up, how much. Obviously, keeping in the back of our mind, how many people might be holding back. We can't take it as gospel, basically. But Tree Frog Dash, guys, it is. I'm gonna change it back, but you guys saw it here first. Tree Frog Dash was up there. Let me get caught up on chat. Let's see. If I could go, I'd take Fuseless Lexi. I agree. Any deck that runs generic 0 for 4s is a Briar Foundation. Those are facts. I know that Dromai is terrible. That's why I won't play Ice. Okay. Yeah, Mara, I love the deck. It was so much fun to play. It really was. You had the right question, not the right stipulation. Can your deck beat Ranger? That's the right question. I don't think Dromai will be the top 5 deck played. Really? That's a hot take. But let's see how long a hot take takes to bake. I'd love to see it. Kano would be great if people were not counting him so hard. Yep, I agree. I agree. The problem is Kano, you just can't pick up Kano in 2 weeks, right? That's the problem. Yeah, if Icelander doesn't get CLF in exactly 3 turns, she's dead in the water. Tree Frog versus Aggro. Yeah, but Aggro's not in a good place. Like, that's the interesting part about it. Dromai can beat Ranger. Absolutely. Yeah. He said 3 frog dash. No, tree frog. The reference comes from a Yu-Gi-Oh card, which was Treeborn Frog, I believe. And like anytime it left the field, it was special summoned. Something like that. If you want to know what I'm referencing when I say Tree Frog Dash, look up 2022 Nats US Jacob Baugh, top 8. And he was the one that pioneered the Tree Frog Dash. So do you count the draw? Okay. That's something I want to talk about. And I think it's very important that to have this conversation. And I think it's very interesting, the dichotomy that you put yourself in when you play a very slow deck. Because we're getting to a point in the game where a lot of people are just so competitive, right? And that's okay. Like that's what the game was designed around, right? The problem is with like Fatigue Oldhim being rampant, Tree Frog Dash, and all these decks. At a calling size event, if you're playing against opponent and the opponent more than likely knew that they were dead in the water, more times than not, they will probably concede. But I just want to give people a news flash, right? And it's something that the people need to hear. Because unfortunately, people do things that could be considered unethical, but if it's within the rules, it's within the rules, right? There's a lot of players that if they're put in the situation where they know they've lost and they're going to time because, okay, so if, let's say it's a Briar versus Oldhim match, right? And the Oldhim's trying to fatigue the Briar, but typically that match only takes about 30 minutes. Normally, right? Normally doesn't go the distance, but can, right? I'm not saying life gain fatigue. I'm just saying regular in this example, like mid-range Oldhim that just happens to be fatigue and Briar. Takes about 30, 35 minutes. Let's say there comes a point in the game where I have fundamentally realized I'm probably losing this game. He had the perfect counter at the right time. I bricked, whatever the case may be. If I was a wrong individual and did not want to lose the game and wanted to draw, there's no way without a judge getting involved that I could prolong the game 20 minutes without it being considered slow play. But here comes the problem. When you have a Dromai and Oldhim match, and the basis for the time of the match is 45 minutes, somebody within the regulations of the game can definitely extend that game by 5 minutes. All it takes is an extra 5 seconds per action. For only the last couple actions, like it doesn't take that much to extend the game by 5 minutes. So why am I saying this? Basically what I'm stating is there's people that would be tempted to make certain actions that invalidate the integrity of the game. What I'm saying is this is my first TCG I've ever played. I've never played one prior. And there's been lessons that I've learned every single tournament. And one of those lessons were not calling a judge at the correct time. And I think that this PT, it's going to be very, very important to. I think it's very important to recognize play speed at a very early point in the match. And, maybe you might come off aggressive or whatever, but like get a judge involved as quickly as possible. Because there's a lot of people that'll be faced with the temptation of if I draw this out, I don't lose 15 elo, because a Pro Tour, it's a big deal, right? So just be wary of that. Understand time constraints and get a good, get a good grasp on where the checkpoints are within a certain game. The Dromai Oldhim game. When you're going through your testing, say, okay, at the 20-minute mark, I should be at Ghostly, on average, over 20, 30 games, I should be at Ghostly marker 8. And, whatever. And, like, use something on the board as, like, a marker. Right? And, yeah, like, that's the best thing I can recommend. Let's see. I tested versus Turtle Dash, and its biggest weakness is the clock. Absolutely. I think, don't quote me, I heard Levi said Azalea Dromai is 50-50. I wouldn't be surprised. It is Levi, though. Okay, Mara said that Levi said Empress Dromai was 50-50. And that Mara said as well. But against Big Dragon, I don't think there's any way that Dromai is, or that Azalea is 50-50. I think Dromai's got to be favored in the Big Dragon. I'm ready for the not conceding out of spite Discord. I'm telling you, it's going to be so rampant. And I hate to say that, but I just think that there's going to be a lot of people arguing over concessions, even though you're not allowed to. I just hope it's not broadcasted on like Twitter and stuff like that, because it's just not a good look for the game. It's not a good look for the game. Your first TCG too. Man, I tell you what, it's been a hell of a journey. I've been playing card games for 1.5 years now. Best decision I ever made, though. I'll tell you that much. I just love doing it, man. I've always been a person that loved computer strategy games like Civ, Age of Empires, games like that. And I've just always needed that mental stimulation, if you want to call it, right? And just always needed a place to really just burn some brain power. But man, card games have just done it for me. They really have. It's a very good mental outlet, put it that way. Calling a judge makes me feel like a Karen. Yeah, me not calling a judge cost me top 8 at US Nats this most recent year. At the conclusion of the game, we figured out that I had an Icelander dead to rights, but we ended up drawing, which knocked me out of top 8. All because I didn't want to look like a bad guy. So, I mean, yeah, so draws, the way they affect elo is let's say I was a higher rated elo than you, right? And we drew. Whereas the normal K factor would have me losing 15, I would only lose 2 if we drew. So you still lose a tiny bit, but it's way less. It is way less if you draw. I totally agree with your assessment on solo play. I think it's a fundamental problem with fatigue, though. I agree. I'm just here to kill it. I mean, I put it on Twitter after my stream match, or after the calling match where I fatigue Oldhim on Briar. I said, fatigue and flesh and blood. Give me 55 minutes and a blank canvas, and I'm going to paint you something real nice. I mean, there's no better feeling than beating fatigue. But I said after that game, I said I won. Everybody loved watching it. You know, like people just loved it and like, commended me on it and all that kind of stuff. And I enjoyed the aftermath. But I'm telling you, during that match, you can probably see it in my face, but I'm literally miserable. It's not fun. It just isn't fun. I was wrecking a Briar and had to call a judge because his play was starting to slow down. Yep, absolutely. That's the kind of stuff you just got to be on top of. Like, don't be a dick if it's like, like a tough spot, right? And, like if it's a tough decision, give him some time. But if you notice that like there's like he has a 2-card hand and he's thinking about whether he wants to block, like there's not that many lines, with 2 cards, like kind of edge him on. I agree. Anything up to a battle hardened. Taking PT, you should have a reasonable expectation your opponent is competent enough to play at a decent pace. 100% agree. Absolutely. But there is a difference in decent pace. Absolutely. Yeah, that's the problem, is like decent pace could be defined as a game action every 5 seconds. I don't know if that's the number, but let's just say it is. But when you play fatigue, you shift what a decent pace is. Mara had a great point. Like you're saying that the decent pace, because of what deck you are playing, is now 3 seconds, not 5 seconds. And that's not the other person's fault. What if they did all their testing based on the fact that they had 5 seconds of decision, right? Great point, Mara. Great point. Totally same story with being the first TCG, but came across fighting games. Okay. My brother did fighting games. I was never... Man, I don't know. Just didn't do it for me. Tekken was the worst. My God. Felt like just overweight people fighting. You were moving so slow. Just couldn't get on board with it. And the reason that I dislike fatigue so much is fatigue asks you, the other person, to be the better player. It doesn't ask the person playing fatigue to be the better player. It's basically just somebody posting up a wall and say, look, you can do whatever you want to try to get over it, but the only objective this match is to get over that one wall. And it's just the most boring thing ever. Terrible. You can draw for Elo. For friends, yep, still in contention, absolutely. Zealous, dominate rounds. You sound like you got Kel McCree's list. It's actually good. I've played it a lot. I'm just saying it's a problem with fatigue as a strategy that people are forced to play at uncomfortable pace. Absolutely. All the decisions are on your point. They're just playing tic-tac-toe, matching numbers. And there's a couple things that, like, against Icelander, they need to activate Crown every turn to make sure that they get to Warhorn as fast as possible. It's just wickets like that during a match that they have to know. Like, there's probably playing fatigue probably requires a lot of setup in learning the matchups, but actually physically playing the game out, it's the easiest shit ever. Sorry I arrived late. Can you explain the adjusted score portion? Love the data. Yeah, absolutely. So the way you read this chart is you read the hero on the left. So you would say Azalea playing Oldhim up here is a 40% win rate. So the one on the left is the deck you're playing. The up top is what you're playing into. So Azalea is unfavored into Oldhim, 40-60. Then We take that number, multiply it by the meta share of the person we're playing against, and add all those numbers up and get the adjusted score. The only thing you should care about as far as determining what the best deck is on the right here, the adjusted score. Please ignore the raw score. It's completely pointless to evaluate. Hope that catches you up, Bagel. Decent pace is a pace of play that finished the match in a lot of time. Yeah. Yep. I had a friend thinking about playing Fatigue Oldhim at Payt, and I straight up told him that he might draw a lot because no one wants to lose to that. Yep, absolutely. Fatigue players say get good when they play their cards without text on them. Yep. Fatigue is PvE. Man, that is the coldest take ever. I agree. I would draw out of spite. Yeah, I'm telling you, there's a lot of people out there that would. I'm telling you guys, if you play a deck, there's just going to be people that are going to do it. I don't mind Fatigue in a sense of how it seems to play out in Outsiders Limited. See, Outsiders Limited is different because it's damage fatigue. The game always ends on time. You just don't have any cards. And that's a product of not being able to utilize a 5-card hand. That's all that's from. Fab is a fighting game to its core. You have matchups to know, your hero kit to master, and practice makes perfect. It's a good way of thinking about it. But you don't have to memorize combos. But you have to memorize lines. Okay, I see it. That's actually pretty neat. Good stuff. It's on them if they bring fatigue. They chose that deck and should know they are either drawing all the time or have to play faster than normal. Talking about fatigue deck opponent. Unfortunately, fatigue feels like it's a better spread percentage into the field, so I'm likely on it. Yeah, I agree. I do think that the fatigue decks are better right now because aggro has been pushed out. And the only decks in the game that don't lose percentage points by being wrong against Fatigue Oldhim or, Dash or whatever is Briar and Dash because they kind of have the same gameplay. Briar throws in rights. There's no real opportunity cost lost, right? Fatigue asks their opponents to play in a fast pace so that the fatigue deck has a chance of winning. Yeah. Believe that the onus is on every player to not monopolize the shared game clock. Yeah, but fatigue plays in a way to where your only decision point is matching numbers. So, the best way I can compare it is when you play fatigue, your half of the board is checkers, but the opponent's half of the board is chess. But you're still somehow in the same game, right? They're just trying to determine whether they're going to move this piece up and to the left or up and to the right. Whereas you are trying to manipulate your bishops and your rooks and all that stuff, right? But that's the best way I can explain it. So any fatigue match that happens, the fatigue tech will use up less clock. That's just a fact. But it's because they don't have any decision points. Is Bravo actually favored into Dromai? I believe. But Mara's in the chat. I don't even think it's fair to say you get half the clock. Yeah, I agree, Mara. Like I just said, absolutely. I've had Bravo Oldhim go longer than an hour and a half. Sheesh. Watch my Goliath Gauntlet game against Tart. The game's literally over an hour and a half. Yeah, I feel like the Goliath Mara, I was in it too, and I felt like half the matches went forever. But I mean, that was the format. That was what we played. That was how we played it. You know, I had my cheeky little Briar deck that it was a meta call. You know, I realized that I wanted to play Briar because that's what I was known for, and I also knew that half the field would be Icelander, just based off of who was in the event. So I was like, let me build something a little unique and get there that way. But it was a great time. It was a great time. Hope we get to do it again and play this time. Although you would have smashed me because the deck that I built for Goliath Gauntlet did not do good under Dromai. I would have got destroyed. Friend has Guilty Gear. I've heard that's one of the best ones. Drive to dominate by a dude with a literal Glock. And everyone hates it. Nice. I think if you're bringing a cognitively complex deck, you need to get the reps in beforehand. And it doesn't need to be exactly 50-50, but there's a limit where it becomes unfair. Shared clock is a social compromise to some extent, as check clocks are absolutely not feasible in paper play. Yeah, I think that, I think that the reason chess clocks work is because it's the exact same game on both sides, right? And there's no variance. There's no... All the decision points come from the previous decision, and you're only building on decisions, not completely reevaluating. Bravo Rex Dromai, I agree. Damn, Dorian Other. Yeah. Yep. I loved your Goliath Gauntlet Briar deck, by the way. I really do appreciate that, Mara. Funny story. Just takes 30 seconds. When I was asked by Uber to be in the Goliath Gauntlet, and I was kind of like, had some ideas. I was on the fence. I was like, I don't want to play Briar, but I want to lose to all these Icelanders. And when we needed to submit our deck list, I was in Disney World with Alec, my wife, and Alex's teammate, and his wife. We were all in Disney World. Just took a little trip. And I made that list while in the line for a ride. Did not test one game and just sent it. Just sent it in. It was something. We'll say that. But I appreciate it. I appreciate it. What are the odds that Josh strays from Warrior? I would say very good. All I can say is there's no shot he's playing Bolton. There's just no shot. He might like consolidate onto Dory or something, but there's no shot he's playing Bolton. Zero shot. Felt very good when I listened to the whole Goliath Gauntlet field except Tar. Yeah, I think it would have been solid for sure. It's not a question with an easy answer. If we had an online client, the time would, of course, be split 50-50. Yep. I owe the existence of Empress Dromai to the Goliath Gauntlet. Flake invited me and asked me to bring some spice, so I started brewing. Me too. Same thing. It was, I'll be honest, it was an interesting moment in my card game career. Because, like, I say career. I don't think I'm there yet to be calling it that. But I would say that, I started playing this game. And you could chart like my ability to play this game. And there were 3 events in the history of playing this game that took me to the next level. The first one was meeting Josh Lau. Meeting Josh, I thought I knew how to play this game. he very quickly he moved from Hong Kong. We played in RTN in Tennessee, and he just whooped up on me. I was playing Dory at the time, so of course he's going to win the mirror, and he just destroyed me. And I thought I had an understanding of the game, but he taught me the true fundamentals of the game. And then from there, it was like a penny stock on the chart. It just, my skill level just shot through the roof because playing with him, talking with him kind of got me a very, very solid foundation. Really nervous, but like, it was a great opportunity to be able to commentate the Hong Kong Nats, even though I felt like I did not do a very good job. But it was incredible. But anyway, the part in that match that took my game to the next level was watching Bun R. It was Jack Tang and Bun R in the finals, and Bun was taking his chain deck and counting down. So he would go 1, 2, 3, 4, draw, shackle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Draw 1, 2, 3, 4, shackle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And he would go through his deck the whole way to figure out if during that play, if he pitched something, was it going to be a shackle or was it going to be a draw? And it was at that moment, it just opened my eyes to like, or my mind to like how so many levels there are to play this game and how insane, how deep it can truly get. That was the second event. The third event was being invited to the Goliath Gauntlet. There wasn't anything specific about it. It was the fact that, I'll be honest, Mara, when I got the invitation, I asked myself, I didn't think I deserved it. I was kind of thinking, I was like, man, there's so many people. There's like Dagan White, there's, so many different players like Jacob Baugh. There was so many players that, I thought were just better. We're better personalities, And so what it did for me was it really just gave me the idea. Basically, yeah, I thought I didn't deserve it. And so I rose to the occasion. I said, you know what? I'm going to really up my game to then kind of rise to the occasion, if you will. Oh, T, you're here. What is up? Okay. T, these numbers are wrong. This is not for Tree Frog Dash. Okay? These numbers are for mid-range. Okay? Let me change the numbers, and you can tell me if I'm wrong on any of these numbers. Okay? But I think Tree Frog Dash, we're going to change the numbers and watch the adjusted score change. We're going to make, these numbers are currently in for Dash. They are mid-range Dash. Okay? So what we're going to do, T, is we're going to change the Dash. So the way you read this is left and then up. So this is the deck you're playing. This is the deck you're playing against. Dash into Oldhim, Tree Frog, I'm putting 80%. Right? Oh, you went back and watched. Okay. So you already know this. Okay. So yeah. I just wanted to say that T, I was wrong in the meta tier list. I was I told the chat that my exact my exact words were what did I say, T? I said, if you think Tree Frog Dash is the best version of Dash, you don't understand what's happening with the meta, is what I said. But I'll admit, T, I was 100% wrong. I was 100% wrong. Yep, that's what we came to the conclusion of was Icelander and Briar and Fi as well was a very good match into Tree Frog Dash. Even without belittle, like Tree Frog Dash is still probably fine. But yeah. Don't belittle yourself for the Goliath Gauntlet. No one thought Majin Bay and DM Armada deserved a spot in the end. They were both in the finals. Yeah, I mean, they were just their personalities, right? They're there to bring viewers. You know, a lot of people watch them, stuff like that. It was just, you know. But the net result was something positive. I got to give a lot of people a different perception on the deck. It was a lot of fun. A lot of people got value out of it. It was entertaining. And it was some decent play, too. Yeah, Fi unwinnable. Yeah, we saw Nationals team. We saw Nationals. It's rough. It's rough. Yeah, we did the numbers for Tree Frog Dash. It was like 5.97, I think, is what it was. It was the best deck, which means my previous statement for it being terrible, I was just wrong. Tree Frog Dash just might be the best deck. How does Fi almost seem unplayable but have such a high score? It's because he's favorable into Dromai by so much, and Dromai is a high percentage of the meta share, is the idea. That is why Fi has such a high score but seems unplayable. Is literally Dromai will be the most represented deck, or maybe tied, is kind of my prediction. And it's just a free matchup. Almost free. So that's why Fi landed on a higher score than what was anticipated. But currently the synopsis is that Fi is not very good. But we could be proven wrong. So T, like I said, I was just wrong. I was just, no other way to put it. No other way to put it. You called me out and you were right. You were right. 100%. Doesn't TFT get online before Frosttech does? Yeah, but the problem is like the items with Tree Frog is it's a linear progression, whereas the Frost Hexes, she'll just kill you out of nowhere. So, like, if you play your Purifier, which you're going to have to take damage to do so, then let's say she Frost Hexes you the next turn, or like does the big combo the next turn. That setup, you didn't get any value from it. So I think that's where Icelander ekes it out over Tree Frog. It's just the fact that, and I think Tree Frog runs Spark, so you can go search. Yeah. It's just not fast enough, I think. Simple as that. Whereas, like, really, the dash matchup into regular dash, mid-range dash into Icelander, the match is really decided on high octane is really where what's your take on the best way to improve in CC? I feel that my local armories only offer so much in learning after a certain point. Nick, what I can tell you is the best thing I can recommend is surround yourself with good players. It's not the easiest thing to do. Obviously, that's easier said than done. But every advantage I've ever gained in this game has been because of other people and just being around those people. Just like in most things in life, you're an average of the people that surround you, and I don't think it's any different in card games. Does that mean you have to join a team? No, but what that does mean is that maybe you know somebody that's a really good Oldhim player. So like when you have practice, you just You just play reps against them and learn stuff about Oldhim from them. Anytime I need anything from Bravo, I hit up Kel McCreath, right? Why would I hit up anybody else? But it's a mutual, relationship, right? If anybody, if he needs, he's contacted me several times, say, hey, I want to try this into Runeblade, right? And I'm like, all right, let's do it. And we try it into Runeblade, and he gets value out of that, right? Right now, I'm at the point I'm trying to network with good players to vampirize their power. First goal was armoring and win the world. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, just find people that specialize in things and just kind of learn from them. Like me, for example, if I have an idea for Icelander, I call up Ethnic Smoke. He's the best Icelander player that I know. And I say, look, I have an Icelander idea. You want to play some games? He's like, cool. He very quickly shows me that it's a terrible idea because he's so good at the hero. But, he's just somebody that I've met. And, definitely leverage that. I recommend the same thing. Just find people that specialize in certain things and learn from them. Absolutely. All right, chat. We finished the graph. Once again, as a reminder, I'm going to post this in our Discord in the general chat, and I will, so that way if you want to import it and change to your matchups or whatever, you can do so, right? I've already done the heavy lifting, typed in the formulas, all that fun stuff. You can change it however you want, right? So just hop in our Discord. I'll post in the general chat after the stream concludes. Probably might be tomorrow, depends. But I'll get it in there so you guys can play around with it. And once again, on my Twitter, I'm going to update it after Richmond on how my thoughts have evolved on the meta, how things have changed after I've told T he's right 20 more times. And, I'll reevaluate the chart. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to break Oldhim into fatigue and mid-range to a separate line and a corresponding meta share as well. And then I will do the same for Dash after realizing what I just did. So I'll take I'm probably not going to do it for Lexi, to be honest, or Dromai. I'm just going to take what I think will mostly be there. But I will split those two, make a new chart, and post that on the Twitter for sure. So be on the lookout for that. Especially in UT, you'd be the first one there to comment, and then you can quote tweet where I said it was trash, and all the friendly banter, right? All the friendly banter. Yeah, so I think it's been a successful stream. I think at one point we had like 100 people in here. That's awesome. I really do appreciate everybody being here. Are there any last questions from the chat? Any last questions before we go ahead and call it? For the next stream, what we will do is the next stream, depending on, it might just be what I'm playing for Pro Tour, because I'm at the point to where I've told myself that I will be locking in a deck, at least a deck, by, I've told myself by Friday of next week. So 9 days from now. Probably sooner, probably Wednesday, probably a week from now. After we get the information from Richmond, really get a lockdown on what's going on, and plug the Twitter. Yeah, Nathan_TCGZ. Like I said, I will update the chart and post it there. After Richmond is when I'll do it. Also, I always send the reminders out for the stream, but once again, it's the same day, same time, every time. Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern. That's when we will always stream. 9 days to realize Briar is in fact the deck. Man, I would love for it to be. I appreciate it. We make best. Do more of these, please. You bet it. Easy. Will Hamilton LL Icelander by himself? I think he will LL before Icelander does. You like CC or draft better given the current meta? Well, that's a tricky situation because my favorite deck's unplayable. So the draft's really cool. This draft set is the first set that I've ever played where I couldn't play a 5-card hand. Most times. It's not always the case, but like it's very difficult to play a 5-card hand in Outsiders draft. So I do enjoy that part of Flesh and Blood. Like I started playing the game when Monarch First Edition came out, so I missed the WTR drafts, the Arcane Rising. I heard Arcane Rising wasn't that great, but I drafted WTR a couple times, right? And yeah, I did it. What did they do? Farewell to Welcome to fail whatever that. Yeah, they did the little WTR draft, get the young heroes. I did that. Did a couple of those, but that's the only experience I've had to like that part of the game. And then Outsiders is kind of throwing back to those experiences, which are great. So once again, I appreciate everybody being here. We'll be streaming every Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Thanks, everybody, and I'll see you in a week. Everybody take care. And let's see what happens in Richmond. I can't wait. I think Man Saint's doing the coverage. It'll be awesome. It'll be awesome to see what happens. Looking forward to it, but keep it in the back of your mind. People are holding back for